This week on the Xander Effect, fashion designer Marc Stein talks about his experiences in the fashion world and the award that he won in Dubai.
So as far as your family background is concerned,
Also, actor Lincoln Bevers comes in to talk about his experiences filming Zombie Tidal Wave starring Ian Ziering, and also gets a little personal.
So I can't say anything about that.
Plus, comedian Mash comes in and she talks about her future plans along with an awesome little show she has in development.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. It's called
All this, plus this week in entertainment, sports, and video games starts right now. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Xander Effect. I'm your host, Xander Dames, and here's a little bit of news in case you haven't heard it. In entertainment news, Victoria's Secret's annual fashion show has been officially canceled this year, and it's for many reasons. The CEO and the chairman, Les Wexner, of the L Brands, who own Victoria's Secret, basically said that they decided to rethink the traditional Victoria's Secret fashion show. Going forward, we don't believe network television is the right fit. Now, what does that mean exactly? Nobody really knows. I mean, Victoria's Secret's fashion show has been going on for a long time, for a few years now, and for Les to go ahead and change it up, he might see the platform of television also changing. There's a lot of streaming sites that are going on all over the place. It's possible he's seen the change in the air, as many other networks are also seeing the change in the air. And who knows, we might actually end up, finding ourselves seeing a Victoria's Secret streaming network in the near future. You never know. Nowadays, it seems like that's where the money is, and that's where a lot of these big corporations who have a very large following tend to go to. Not to mention the fact of the matter that obviously we know that Victoria's Secret is a lingerie, brand, basically, showcasing lingerie, women's underwear, things like that. So it's a very risque type of brand that they have. Therefore, they may look at it that way as well, that hey, we could easily do this on a streaming network and show a few other of our products that are a little bit more risque that might have been censored by the normal networks. So here's our opportunity to kind of move forward and try to see if maybe we could go ahead and do something a little bit more risque. Who knows where their thought process is, but the bottom line is that the Victoria's Secret fashion show has been officially canceled for this year. We'll see when they decide to restart it. Looks like they might do something different in 2020. But the year's almost over anyway, so that's it for that. In more entertainment and fashion news, I had the opportunity to interview fashion designer Marc Stein, and he talks about his experiences in the fashion world and his recent award in Dubai. So I'm being joined today on the Xander Effect by designer Marc Stein. Jonathan, how you doing today?
Good. How about yourself?
Well, it's finally starting to look a little bit like Christmas now. We finally are starting to see the seasons come together, so I'm actually happy about that. So, Jonathan, I understand that you just got in from Dubai like not too long ago. You received an award out there?
Yeah, so it was my first international show at Arab Fashion Week in Dubai, and I received the Golden Forever Rose, which is a real rose that lasts 300 years, and I won
Wow.
it for Best Designer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So how long have you been doing fashion? How long have you been in this design world?
Just about 2 years now.
2 years. So how did you get started in it?
So while I was getting my degree for mechanical engineering while I was in college, I discovered fashion. So I started while I was in college and continued until now.
So wait a minute. So you were that's kind of a different that's kind of a switch from one end to the other. How did you like suddenly go from mechanical engineering to fashion? I mean, those are two very, very different worlds.
Yeah, so I was actually in mechanical engineering, which is the design side, and I was always interested in design, whether it was architecture or designing products or anything. And I found a YouTube video of a runway show, and I was like, wow, I love this. So I started sewing myself, I taught myself, and here I am now.
Wow. So self-made, self-taught man.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. So, you've been doing this for a while now, and how has the experience been for you so far as going into the fashion industry, fashion world? Has it been difficult for you to like enter into that world?
I mean, with starting any brand, it's hard to get your name out there, everything. But I mean, I've almost dressed my 100th celebrity, so it's going extremely well.
Wow. So, what kind of celebrities have you been dressing? I mean, are you allowed to say or?
Yeah, so I've worked with Laura Marano, who's a huge Disney star. I've worked with Gretchen Rossi, who's a reality TV. I've worked with the iconic music trio En Vogue, who's
Wow.
they performed at the Billboard Awards in my outfits, and yeah, just a bunch of other people, whether it's actresses, singers, musicians, every kind of person, really.
Well, so I mean, how did you like get involved in the entertainment? I mean, you went from fashion and you got there, but I mean, like, how did you like get your foot in the door to start actually dressing all these celebrities? How did this happen?
Well, after my first show, it was like a no-name small show. I received so much good press that I was invited to show at New York Fashion Week. And then all of a sudden it started building up and everybody wanted to work with me and like just networking and meeting people at parties. And now I've built all these connections and now everybody wants to work with me.
Nice. So I mean, as far as your family background is concerned, you come from a family of people that are in seamstressing and, fashion and all that stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, how is that like? How was that like? I mean, was that, it seems like it was in your genes anyway to go ahead and go on this path.
Yeah, so my great grandmother, she was one of the designers at Bergdorf and Goodman, which is a huge it's like a Saks kind of thing out in New York City and here and everywhere. And like it was back before they started carrying other designers and where they had their own in-house brand. And I mean, it was past my generation. I didn't get anybody to teach me, but my grandmother taught me like the basics, like hand sewing and everything else I had to teach myself.
Wow. Well, that's good that you have that family background. They were able to go.
Yeah.
You were able to integrate it so easily. So
Mhm.
basically, just mechanical engineering was already in your blood and your system ready to go. To go ahead and start designing things. Are you thinking maybe to going back to maybe architecture or something like that, or is fashion just everything for you from this point on?
Fashion's everything now. I've left that all behind me. I haven't even thought about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're starting your own brand. What's your brand like?
Well, I design very modern clothing, like edgy, lots of leather, lots of hardware. I try to take like the traditional clothing, like gowns with long chiffon, and I try to make it more modern for like the everyday woman, the more modern woman, and man as well.
And do you have a boutique located somewhere? I mean, are you in Los Angeles or are you in New York? Or are you exactly?
I'm in Los Angeles. I have a celebrity showroom out here where all the celebrities and their stylists come in. It's strictly for pulling and placements and like music videos, that kind of thing. And then I just opened up my first section in a department store in Dubai back in October.
Wow. So you're like everywhere. You're trying to expand every single place, every which way of this entire world at this point in the fashion
Yeah,
industry.
trying.
Nice, nice. So what's going on right now at present? What are you doing right now as far as, because I know Fashion Week happened already a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah, back in October.
Back in October, yeah, back in October. So are you getting ready for maybe London Fashion Week? I know that's coming up, and then of course LA Fashion Week returns in spring.
hmm So right now I started working on like out of collection pieces, and I might have like a small intimate show that I'll have in LA, just something small. But right now Dubai Fashion Week wants me back. So they're going to fly me out and I'll do that again in March. So right now I'm working on my new collection.
Awesome. I'm wondering what that's gonna look like. So you're gonna have to like maybe send me some shots of that so I could go ahead and feature it a little bit on the show. But other than that, like what are future plans here for you right now? Like what's going on in Jonathan Marc Stein's world, of fashion? Where are we gonna see you next?
So I'm actually working with some really cool people right now. I can't say what, but I will be dressing some big people soon. And I also am working on a collaboration with one of my very influential friends and just working on my new collection. So, I mean, creating a new collection takes 4 to 5 months. So I'll be working on that, but it's going to be my biggest one yet. I'm going to have accessories, and hats, and gloves, and everything you can think of.
What goes into creating? I've always been curious about that because I always see how talented a lot of designers. They are incredibly talented. All of the new designers are incredibly talented, very creative, very unique. What goes into creating a line? Like, what goes into that? Like, what is it? Something that maybe it's in your imagination and then just starts popping up out of nowhere. I mean, what's the process of that?
So it depends, like how I'm feeling, how creative I'm feeling, but usually it starts with me like creating a mood board, like what kind of colors do I want, what kind of textures, what do I envision that the whole collection is going to look like. So I come up with a theme and I build the whole collection around that. So, and then from there I start sketching out, then I fabric source, then I make some samples, and then I just chug and keep making and making until I'm done.
Nice. And what about like what's been your favorite theme so far that you've done throughout your entire fashion career?
Well, I love everything I do. I mean, but as a designer, I evolve and I grow. So my latest collection that I just showed in Dubai was definitely my favorite. The theme was old Hollywood with a modern touch. So like lots of glitter, lots of shiny stuff, lots of leather. I'm extremely well known for my leather, and I create like cool dresses and tops and everything in between.
What kind of accessories do you guys I mean, you said you create accessories as well. Like what kind of accessories go with the outfits that you make?
So I sometimes make hats, I make belts, I make gloves. Sometimes I even like make my own jewelry for shows. Like it all depends like how I'm feeling and what I think would go with the collection.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, like I said, I'm looking forward to that, to seeing what kind of, I'm curious because I've been to a few fashion shows for LA Fashion Week, and I've seen a lot of very interesting, very unique styles, in the shows. I enjoy the shows. They're really cool to watch, So hopefully maybe I could go ahead and check out one of your shows because I'd love to go ahead and see what your collection's like as well. So aside from dressing celebrities, do you also dress like for movies? Like do you do like not just, I'm sure that you do premieres, I'm assuming. But you all like what about for movies? Like for like if someone's filming a movie, do you do the costume design for the movies, things like that?
I mean, I've had like stuff where like on the news or if they're promoting something like actually on TV, but for like that kind of stuff, I haven't really gotten into that because costume design is an incredibly long process. And when you're working on a collection, you don't always have the time to do anything else except eat, breathe, and sleep that collection. So, I mean, if somebody asked me, I would consider doing it. But right now I'm focusing on my runway stuff and my celebrity placements. So once I like build a whole team of people and employees, maybe I'll get into that kind of thing.
Well, it seems like you're growing enough that that's going to be happening very soon in the near future. You're going to be like, I mean, you're obviously in a high demand. You received a huge award in Dubai. Your name is becoming really big. I mean, what about London Fashion Week? Is that coming up as well in anytime in your future? Have you done London Fashion Week as well?
I haven't done London. I haven't done Paris. I mean, I would love to do it, but those kind of shows are incredibly expensive. And so right now I'm working with what I have and all my connections. And, you know, as soon as I build up the fame and the clout, I'll hopefully be doing the big ones, London, Milan, and Paris.
Awesome. Well, you know what? I hope the best for you, and I hope that you continue to do what you do. I look forward to having you again on the show very soon. Maybe I could go ahead and get some footage of one of your shows and feature it on the show. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Appreciate your time, man, and I hope to talk to you very soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, for that interview. Appreciate you coming on the Xander Effect. In other entertainment news, Michael Jackson biopic is in the works, and the producer is Graham King, the same producer of Bohemian Rhapsody, is going to be working on this project. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen Bohemian Rhapsody. I've seen it more than once. It's an absolute amazing movie showcasing a lot of Queen's, if not all of Queen's music. And it was just an amazing, amazing movie. The story, the tragedies, the triumphs, tribulations, everything that Queen went through throughout their entire career almost. Granted, there's a lot of back and forth in them in a lot of critics saying that there was a lot of inaccuracies with the movie, but at the end it was still an amazing movie that was nominated and won Academy Awards in different categories. Mainly the main actor, he won an Academy Award for Best Actor in that movie. So now the producer of Bohemian Rhapsody, Graham King, is going to start working on the Michael Jackson biopic, which is going to showcase Michael Jackson's life and also his music. But they've done movies like these for Michael Jackson before, where they've done the Jackson 5 biopics, and pretty much they went through that. They also did documentaries. Obviously, we've seen Leaving Neverland. Well, I haven't seen it, but many people have seen Leaving Neverland, which left a big controversial question mark on who Michael Jackson was in this whole in his life, and it didn't show him in a very good light. This movie will actually, from rumors are circulating, it will show some of those issues, being brought up in the movie. So it's going to be interesting to see where exactly they're going to go with this. They have the permission from the Jackson estate to do the biopic. I'm glad that they're doing it because it'll show his side of the story. And it'll pretty much allow us to see exactly, who Michael Jackson was, his life, both personal and in the spotlight. His music, more than anything, is going to be amazing. Like, I loved his music. I loved his choreography. Michael Jackson had an amazing vision for choreography and just a great imagination. That's the reason why he named his estate Neverland, because he was a kid that never wanted to grow up. Just like Peter Pan. So it'll be interesting to see, especially since if it's the producer for Bohemian Rhapsody, you know that this movie is going to do Michael Jackson justice. So looking forward to that one. There is no set date. They just came on as producers, so the writing's probably going to take a year, maybe another year of filming. So we're looking maybe 2022, this movie might come out. Looking forward to it either way. In other entertainment news, I had another opportunity to interview a recent star of the TV movie on the Sci-Fi channel called Zombie Tidal Wave, starring Ian Ziering. One of the stars of that show, Lincoln Bevers, gave us a little behind-the-scenes, look at what he experienced on set, and also a little look into his own private life. Check it out.
So I have with me on the Xander Effect, Lincoln Bevers. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. Glad
Awesome.
you got my last name right as well.
Hey, I was actually gonna really muck it up, so I took a chance with that. And I was like,
You did good.
Well, Lincoln, you're not not from LA. I know you're in LA, but you're not from LA. You're from northern states up in Washington, right?
No, but I live in a town in North Idaho that's about 20 minutes from the Washington border.
But I was close, so I got points for being close.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And you came out, like you started modeling, and now you're getting big here, man. I mean, you're just in a movie called Zombie Tidal Wave,
Right.
starring Ian Ziering. He's from Beverly Hills 90210, and now the new BH 90210, which is freaking hilarious, by the way. I've been watching the show. And
All the Sharknadoes.
Yeah, and all the Sharknadoes. And
Yeah.
he's been in a couple of other movies as well, here and there. He's directed. Talking about him, we're looking at you here.
Man, it's everybody for themselves. She saved your ass. What would you expect me to do, man, huh? Want to bite me? No, wait.
Here, you spent, like, they shot this in Thailand, right?
Right.
How was that experience? I mean, because the weather and the elements and all kinds of different experiences. How was it shooting in Thailand for this movie?
Well, I kind of did a week and a half vacation before we started shooting the film, which was kind of a mistake because we go from vacay mode to work mode. But my whole idea of that was that I would not be able to take a vacation if I wanted to do any of the actual Thai experience at the end of the movie, because we'd wrap and then we'd run right into Christmas, and of course I had to come home for that. But it was amazing. We had a mostly Thai crew that was hired for the sci-fi movie, and probably some of the most wonderful people that you'll ever meet, especially to have on a crew. I mean, they're so go with the flow. They're hard workers. The experience itself, just being in Thailand and getting to see all the different spots where we filmed was amazing. But I'm from Idaho. And my mom was born a Norwegian citizen, so I spent several different times in my life living in Norway. So I've got this Norwegian blood,
But still, this was a culture shock, no doubt.
It was, but my big point there was that I was dying of the heat because I was constantly. I mean, it was this time last year actually, and it would be like, Fahrenheit speaking, like 100 degrees and 110% humidity. And it was just like, you were just always drenched. So I had to have this Thai girl run around on set and dab my face constantly because I was just so.
Yeah, because it's on the other side of the equator. So when it's winter here, it's summer down there, and it's humid, like crazy humid down there.
Right.
That's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how is like, I gotta ask, because I love food and everything. How's the food down there?
Thai food is my favorite food, and strangely enough, when I travel, sometimes I'm worried because this December I will have been a vegan for 8 years. Wow. But Thai food is so easily adaptable to you just put tofu instead of the chicken and whatnot. I love pad Thai, and I actually didn't struggle at all.
Nice.
I lived in Russia for 6 months once. And that was when I still ate meat and cheese, and I struggled then. So going to Thailand was it was actually really easy for me to find food in Thailand.
So what?
The very act of the Magellan Galaxy nearing us will cause chaos. Entire planetary systems will be flung out into space. Suns will extinguish instantly while others explode. Time.
You started in modeling. How did you get involved in modeling to begin with?
I actually really didn't get started in modeling. I got started with acting. Basically what happened was, ever since I was a kid, being a actor is exactly what I always wanted to do. And about 7 years ago, I was talking it over with someone that I really trusted and valued their opinion, and they're like, "Hey, life's short. Why don't you just go for it?" And I figured, what, I think I'm going to go for it. And if I swing and I miss, then at least I can say I swung, because if I didn't swing at all, I didn't want it to be 10 years later and then to look back with tremendous regret.
Excuse me, miss.
Yes.
You know that thing where you breathe into your hand and then you try to smell your breath? Does that actually work? Because I do it and I don't smell anything.
I've never tried it.
I don't buy that. Love at first sight?
And so I called an agency in Spokane, Washington, and the next day I went to meet with her, and then the very next day after that, she sent me to my first audition. I didn't get it, but it just, started off like that. And 2 years later, so that was in 2012. So in 2015, I booked these Toyota commercials that were semi-national.
With a Toyota 4x4, you won't ever be the guy who doesn't make it to work.
How's the new Tacoma?
It's awesome. Handles great in this weather.
Rugged, reliable, and safe means you'll always make that important.
And they were kind of funny. It was me and this other guy. And the next year, Toyota brought us back for another round with me and this guy. And that was kind of my first, really getting, at least on a public level. And then, of course, I did a ton of small short films with really talented filmmakers in Spokane, Washington. And it just kind of started rolling like that. As far as the modeling goes, it was just kind of, my agent would submit me for certain things and I would do it. I did a same-sex campaign about a year ago for US Bank, and I've done some fashion stuff for a small airline company. So I've done modeling for casinos and stuff like that, but that's not really how I actually got started with the modeling aspect. It just kind of worked itself in there with the film.
It just blended in with acting and everything else, like everything in the entertainment industry, mostly.
Yeah. So all this was going on, and then I had gotten this really great job with the state of Idaho, right in the middle in 2017, right in the middle of some really tough and heavy trauma in my life that was just breaking me down tremendously. And so I was really grateful for this job that I had, but I was feeling not very much alive, and knowing that deep down inside, if there was still life inside me, I still wanted to be an actor. And I remember in August of 2017, I was laying on the floor of my office and I just said to the universe, I was like, I need something to show me that this is my path, because I feel so dead right now. And I left to go to another office. I worked in 2 different locations, and on my way to my second location, I got a call from my agent's assistant out of Seattle, Washington. They said, these producers want to Skype with you because they're doing this movie in 3 weeks, and they've cast everybody but the lead, and they want to talk to you. And basically starting via Skype with these producers, I ended up landing this movie called Forbidden Power. It's on Amazon Prime. It's very, very indie, very interesting. But learned a lot, got a lot out of that. And it was sometime after that, my agent up in the Northwest, she could submit me for a lot of things, but her reach as far as a broader, seeking out opportunities and whatnot really just wasn't. It was very limited, limited. She didn't have access to the market down here, and really this is where it's at. And
well, that's what everybody always says, that in order for you to actually be, if you want to be an actor, you need to be where all the actors are, where the entertainment industry is, which is here in Hollywood. If you want to be in theater, New York, fashion, New York, everything else is, music is also
in Nashville. And
it's
you
all
want to be a oil tycoon, you got to go to Houston.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Caution to the wind to find the source of the albuterol. I remember it because it was the day I met Jack. And Jack would be the man that escorted us into an entirely different world. The world of pure, uncompromised anarchy.
It was New Year's Eve, 2017, 2018, I woke up and I thought, okay, tomorrow is 2018. And for some reason, I just knew, I couldn't even explain it. I just knew that I was supposed to move to Los Angeles. I just had no idea why. It wasn't a bucket list. It wasn't even something that I ever really thought about seriously doing. I had actually come down and visited a few friends in LA earlier that year and thought, LA is a lot of fun, but I will never live here. And so, a few months later, I'm, waking up New Year's Eve, and I made the decision that I was going to quit my job. And 3 months later, in March 2018, I was going to move to LA. And so that's kind of like the Reader's Digest condensed version of my story, but that's where I ended up. So yeah.
Nice. So you're in LA. You got yourself. Did you stay with your agent, or did you get yourself a new agent once you got here in LA?
I was very blessed because a lot of actors, they move to Los Angeles and really struggle to even just get an agent. It can take a year or 2 years just to get there. My agent had actually been a friend of my agent up in the Northwest, and she said, hey, this guy's going to move to LA. Here's some of his work. And she reached out to me herself and said, hey, I'd love to sign you. You know, I've seen some of your stuff. And so I was very blessed. You know, it was just more confirmation that this was what I was supposed to do, because some people really have a hard time getting an agent. And in that sense, I had already had my foot in the door. So.
Nice. And was she, and of course she got you the part in this zombie Tidal Wave. Yeah.
No, that was all me, actually. It's a funny thing. I was supposed to go to Norway on a Tuesday of last year, and for many different reasons, it just wasn't making sense for me to go. It was very obvious that the universe was saying, don't go to Norway, not right now, this is not the right time. And I basically made a huge decision that kind of looked crazy to some people, and I just didn't get on the plane. I didn't do that. And the very next day, I got invited to a birthday party, and the director of the Sharknado movies, who's also the director of Zombie Tidal Wave, he was present. And I went up to him and I, just introduced myself and said, hey, I'm Lincoln Bevers, and I think we know some of the same people. And I'm talking to him, and then all of a sudden he says, I think you're my Blaine. And I said, I don't know what that means, but yes, yes, I am.
We'll go with it.
Yeah. So then
you could call me Susie if it makes you happy. I don't care.
Hey, it was just good. You just said, basically, I want you to come in and read. And I think 2 or 3 days after that meeting, maybe it was even a little bit longer, I went in and I auditioned. I auditioned in front of him and Ian Ziering. It was my first time to meet Ian, and so it was kind of a little bit nerve-wracking, But it was also one of those things, where I woke up and knew on New Year's Eve that I was supposed to move to LA. I just knew that I was going to get this part. It's just like everything happens the way it's going to happen, and there's nothing you can really do about it except for just say, thank you. I'm grateful.
Of course, and that's a great way. That's a great mentality. That's a great mindset to have. Especially in this industry that's very difficult. Let's move forward here for a second, because I wanted to talk a little bit more of a personal nature. I admired a post that you posted on your Instagram, saying that you were coming out again as gay. This is the second time, which kind of confused me a little bit, because I'm like, when did you come out the first time? So
right.
But I wanted to talk a little bit more about that, because you seemed very like it was a very personal moment that you wanted to share with everybody that was following you on Instagram. Let's talk a little bit about that post.
Sure. So the reason I did it, well, I'll back up. So I had I out to family for a number of years, but in 2015. I was just kind of trying to grapple with my own personal faith and who it was that I actually was as a man and as a gay man. And I was in a relationship, a long-term relationship, with someone I loved very much. And I remember feeling it wasn't fair, because I never wanted to make the mistake of having a singular identity. And I think sometimes a lot of people in the gay, the LGBTQ community get pigeonholed, even without meaning to for themselves, as having, I am this, and that becomes their identity. I am gay, or I am lesbian, or, I am transgender, or any of those. And then they feel like, well, in order to be fully free to allow that attribute of themselves to be fully free, that they almost make it become their only identity. And I never really wanted to be that person, but I realized that I was still kind of hiding. And by the way, when I say be that person, there's nothing wrong. They're not doing anything wrong. They've done nothing wrong. It's just something that society, unfortunately, they felt they've had to be a little more loud about their sexuality because they've been so ostracized or shamed for so long that it's been a very difficult burden. So finally they're speaking their truth and they're going to be loud about it. And there's a lot of wisdom to being loud about it. You know, you do have to stand up and be real because nobody else is going to be real for you. But my whole idea was, you know, I love going to a gay bar, but I also want to be comfortable going to a non-gay bar, or, you know, that I have my sexuality does not define me. I mean, and people get pigeonholed in sexuality all the time. You see this with straight men, you know, they suddenly can't talk about anything other than, you know, sex, for example, because it's almost like they've been pigeonholed into, well, this is who I am. But nobody is their sexuality. It's just a really wonderful attribute of who they are. And you should be able to live in a space where all your parts exist. And I was getting to this point in 2015 where I just felt like I could no longer have a semi, you know, acquaintance hit me up and say, hey, you know, my wife and I are having dinner and there's this really cute girl that we'd love for you to meet. And you know, and then I have to make an excuse. And I just thought, God, you know, I'm not being authentic here, and it freaking sucks. You know, this is awful. It doesn't feel good. And all it's really doing is encouraging me to hide more. And then I had to be really honest with myself that there was still a little bit of shame, even though I'd come out to, you know, my mom and, you know, certain family members and whatnot. And there was, you know, a lot of friends. They were very accepting. I just knew that I needed to make a bigger statement. That it's not who I am, but it definitely is a part of who I am, and it's an important part of who I am, and it should be able to exist alongside with all of my other attributes. So I wrote this long post about being gay, you know, my whole life. It's not something new, maybe news for you guys, but it's just who I am, you know. And it was interesting, you know. I had 97% people come out swinging on my side and just so happy.
Because I was gonna ask if that had by any chance changed anybody's perspective of you, had that affected, you know, everybody's perspective about you.
The answer is yes, both negatively and positively. In fact, some people were like, I have more respect for you, not because you're gay, but because you're being honest. Mm-hmm. And I actually did have a few people that kind of, I think I got unfriended a couple times, which, you know, on Facebook, you know, who cares, whatever. But I actually had a couple relatives that were quite religious, you know, send me long letters about how they're going to be praying for me. And they're so sad that I felt that I had to be that way. And I'm like, well, I don't feel like I have to be that way. I am that way. You know? Yeah. I'm also white, I'm male, I live in Idaho. Like, these are just things, you know, they just are. Definitely not doing it for anybody. And you know, some people would misunderstand, but like, we see that you're trying so desperately to seek, you know, approval for your sexuality. And I'm like, no, I mean, at this age, you know, I'm well into my, you know, I was 30 when that happened. And I was like, well, you know, at this point in my life, it's more about just being honest. I don't really need anybody's approval except for my own. And, you know, but that was that. And so, you know, I've considered myself, that was my coming out moment. And it was very freeing and liberating. But the more that I've gotten into this industry that I'm in, I've realized that, you know, Hollywood is a total different beast. And I have actually been encouraged to just no one's ever actually encouraged me to not be honest about being gay, but just to think about how I present myself. And I think, you know, I mean, I guess there's wisdom in that, no matter how you want to look at it. Like, you know, I present myself, you know, what's safe to share and what's not. But I also felt like there was this element of me still having to hide, which just was bizarre feeling for me. And I don't know that I ever made a conscious decision, because, you know, I've been cast as in straight roles, you know, several times. And I love playing straight roles, you know, and I love being able to tell a story of somebody else that has a different experience than my own. I mean, that's what acting is, you know. That's
well, in Zombie Tidal Wave, that's, you know, you were cast in a straight
exactly.
role.
Yeah,
Yeah. You had a
exactly.
girl, you had a girlfriend, you had a, you know.
Yeah, and I don't have those things in real life. You know, my character was a total douchebag asshole in the movie, and I'm not that, obviously. I'm a nice guy, no. But I had I had just decided and had been thinking actually for a while, like, you know, it's almost like it felt uncomfortable, like I was still in the closet. I mean, in the real world, had I not entered this industry, I think it would just be, that's how it is, you know. I mean, and, you know, any casting director or a reporter or anybody it'd take them 2 seconds to dig into my personal life to find that out. So it wasn't like there was any way that it would remain a secret. But the fact that it even felt like it had to, again, you know, be a secret, just kind of gnawed at me. And a couple weeks ago, I got the opportunity to go to this event in Hollywood. There was two of the showrunners on the panel at this event that I went to. I got to speak to them personally. One is Steven, and I can't think of his last name, but he's the creator showrunner of Pose on FX, and the creator showrunner Lauren Morelli, I believe her name is, for Orange is the New Black. And both of them were just the most warm, embracing. I virtually, not at the same time, but at two different moments during this event, said the same thing to both of these individuals. I said first to Steven, I said, hey, listen, I'm so happy to know that we are living in a day and age where there are roles, there's more content out there. Like, I don't ever want to get pigeonholed just to playing a gay character, but I also want the opportunity to do that sometime, because I know how that man would actually feel in many situations. You know, even if that character's life is totally different than mine, I would know and understand that, and it would just be such an honor to tell that story, you know. And I think there's been a lot of great straight male actors who have done a very good job playing certain roles in shows, you know, like Call Me By Your Name, or, you know, some of the others out there, the show Sense8. But I said to them both, thank you. That's the main thing I just want to say here. Thank you for leaning into your higher calling and being bold enough and brave enough to actually want to do this, you know, because, you know, you know, just like when you talk about, like, you know, race and how the African American population has been so desperate for so long to see, or, you know, the Hispanic population, to see characters that look like themselves, that actually resemble not just how they look, but something that they can identify with as a human being, you know. And it's, for a long time, it hasn't been that way. And to a different extent, it's been the same way with the LGBTQ community also, because there really hasn't been a great representation, you know. And I love to see stories being told that are just more human, and not every story that's, you know, gay has to end and one of the people die in a hate crime, or they die from AIDS, or it's, you know, some tragic thing. Like, there's actually like
some stereotype
yeah,
that have been most movies and television shows.
So this whole moment, you know, and we just hugged it out and we talked, and they asked questions about, well, Lauren did, she asked questions about, you know, Zombie Tidal Wave, just, you know, briefly. And it was just a really great moment. When I met these two, I thought to myself, there's no way that me being secretive about something that is so important, such a huge attribute of who I am, that would be worth denying so I could get a certain role. I mean, you can have all the success in the world, and I just thought I would rather, you know, have to shovel ditches the rest of my life than lie about something so important just to get ahead. And I realize that there's wisdom in understanding what is private, because, you know, I want to be vulnerable, which means being authentic and real. But I used to think that meant I just had to tell everybody all of my stuff, but that's not what it is. You know, there's a place for certain things, and there's a place for not certain things, you know, and it's okay to have a private life, and it's okay to be a very private person. In fact, I consider myself a very private person. But when it comes to certain things that are just absolutely crucial to the human experience. You can't get away from sexuality, you know.
Yep.
Sexuality is what drives us. I mean, we come from sex, you know, we are sex, and everything that we do, even though it may not be the number one topic, it's a big part of our life and our culture, and every culture. I mean, even really
some wars were started by sex.
yeah, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
sexual revolutions happen. So
100%, yeah. But I just was like, I just wanted to do this video and just say, hey guys, you know, I mean, nothing's changed in my personal life as far as like, you know, this isn't me coming out, but it is me coming out again, just because I want to now say, as a actor who, you know, hey, my character was trending on Twitter, so that must mean I've made it. You know, I'm kidding, by the way, but not about the Twitter thing, but having made it because of that. But I just thought to myself, I can't just deny this. You know, I don't have to just make it what everything else, make it about everything, but I'm gay, and that's just the way it is.
With that being said, Lincoln, thank you so much for being on the Xander Effect.
Thank you for having me.
Man, I look forward to many more of your projects, you know, coming up. Hopefully we could do another follow-up, so that way we could go ahead and you know, check out some more of your projects, some more stuff that you gotten involved in.
Yeah.
You know, and dude, I'd love to have you back on the show again, man.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Have a good night.
Thanks so much, Lincoln, for being on the Xander Effect. Looking forward to many more projects in the future from you. In other entertainment news, Batman has been cast. All the villains, all the heroes, all the good guys, bad guys, it's been cast now. Obviously, we know Robert Pattinson from all the Twilight series is going to be playing Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, in the movie. The other ones that were announced as well were Paul Dano is going to be playing the Riddler, Zoe Kravitz will be playing Catwoman, and Jeffrey Wright will be playing Jim Gordon. And they just announced that the final cast of the Penguin, the person that's going to be playing the Penguin, Colin Farrell, will be playing the Penguin in the new Batman movie. Now that's going to be very interesting, because, you know, Penguin's mostly, notably, you know, he's a fat, you know, villain. Colin's not really fat. He's a very fit, you know, guy. So it'll be interesting how they put him in makeup, how they make him seem. He's already played a villain before. You know, he played a villain. He played Bullseye in the movie Daredevil with Ben Affleck a few years back, which that will remain in the archives along with the Green Lantern as movies that ended in disaster in the box office. But Colin Farrell seems like, you know, he's a very dynamic actor. He's played both good guy, bad guy. He's played them all. And you know, he's a good actor. You know, I like a lot of his characters in many movies. I've seen him in many movies. And it'll be interesting to see him play the villain, the Penguin, in this rendition of Batman. So, I mean, you know, Danny DeVito actually, you know, he's looking forward. He actually said that, he quoted and he said, "Colin's a great actor. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him for many years, and I think he's going to do a great job as the Penguin." So he's got DeVito's blessing in doing this movie. And I'm looking forward to seeing how all these actors, how every single one of these actors do their roles. I mean, Zoe Kravitz, she's the daughter of Lenny Kravitz. You know, she's going to be doing this rendition of Catwoman. She's very beautiful, very, very sexy. So looking forward to that. Paul Dano, I mean, the guy looks like the Riddler. I mean, the guy kind of looks, you know, he's got that, you know, psychotic look, I guess you might say. No offense to Paul or anything, you know, I don't mean that he's psychotic. He just has that villainous look that, you know, could actually do well for him as the Riddler. Jim Gordon, however, played by Jeffrey Wright, that one's an interesting one. I mean, I don't know. For me, Jim Gordon, it doesn't seem like it's, I don't know. I'm not too keen on Jeffrey Wright playing Jim Gordon, but who knows? I mean, they're doing it. I mean, Robert Pattinson is playing Batman, for God's sake, so that's just as bad as it is. In my opinion, you know. But then again, I could be wrong. The movie could actually be a huge hit, And, we'll see, because it comes out in theaters next year. It comes out in theaters June 20th. Well, actually, not next year. It comes out in theaters June 25th, 2021. So look out for that one. In more entertainment news, I love comedy. Comedy is one of my favorite genres. It's a beautiful thing to be able to laugh and enjoy a movie, and when the timing's right, it's just amazing to watch. Especially if you're having a really bad day, you go see a comedy, you laugh, and you kind of forget, about the bad day for a little bit. And it's just a great thing to have. Well, I got the opportunity to interview Ormash, who is known as the Wonder Woman of comedy, and she is not only beautiful, she's hilarious. I love, I'm watching this stuff. I'm like, my God, this woman's great. This woman's absolutely fantastic. So I had the opportunity to talk to her about how she got into comedy and what she has going on YouTube. Check it out. So joining me on the Xander Effect today, Ormash, comedian extraordinaire known as the Wonder Woman of comedy.
Oh my God.
That's got to be an awesome little nickname, Wonder Woman of comedy. Is it because the actress that plays Wonder Woman is also Israeli and you're Israeli? Is that why they're saying that? Is it because you're just awesome, or is it because you're wondering why comedy?
That exactly. I feel like I'm the Wonder Woman because sometimes I just wandered.
you just wandered into comedy, so
I wandered into comedy. So and in comedy, I wonder a lot of things.
I bet, and I mean, but it was a huge transition because your background is that you were part of the Israeli army. Now the Israeli army is known to be like top shelf, one of the best armies in the world, and they are no bullshit. They are all serious all the time, and yet here you come. And decide to go into comedy. How was that like? Okay, first of all, how did you get into the Israeli army to begin with?
Well, in Israel, everybody has to go to the Israeli army. It's called mandatory volunteering, if there's even such a thing. There is such a thing in Israel. It's funny. It's like the state of Jewish people. You gotta volunteer. Like so. Nice. Everybody goes to the army. So I went to the army. My sisters went to the army. A lot of times people ask me if having soldiers just in everywhere is aggressive or anything like that, and I tell them no, because everybody goes to the Israeli army. So if you see it's probably your cousin. You know what I mean? She's like, hey, what's up? Like, so it's like it's a part of the culture. There's nothing intimidating or anything that would make you feel uncomfortable at all.
It's almost like it's everybody's pretty much family, pretty much.
It's everybody's family. You go when you're 18. It's kind of like a college experience, but kind of not.
But
yeah.
So I mean, you're in the Israeli army.
I was in the Israeli army. I always say people that people think a lot of times that I'm this badass because I was in the Israeli army, and I am a badass, but not because I was in the Israeli army. I was actually I was not the best soldier. Let's just say that from like a scale of 1 to 10, I was a 420.
Nice.
So
nice.
I was a slower soldier. I was a little bit clumsy. But it was all funny, and it was never harmful, anything like that. I still did my job, did what I had to do, just a little bit in a chill fashion.
You're like the enemy's coming over the wall. Yeah, let them. more for us, bro.
But yeah, everybody goes in Israel to our army. I think it's really good for you, especially society, and as women at 18, Israel and with the army kind of taught me that when I was 18, when I became a woman, I was equal to men in any way. There's female commanders that they're the commander of the man soldiers. So in terms of just woman
Equality.
Power and equality, it was really, really good just to build character and an understanding that how life should be.
Mm-hmm.
And also It's good for the character because when you're 18, let's just say it, you're an asshole. You're like the worst version of yourself. You're 18, you think you know everything.
Yeah.
You're getting drunk or whatever. You're doing whatever, all the stuff that like people do when they go to college and stuff like that. And to go to a structure like that where you often hear people tell you no. It's good. It humbles you, and it really builds character, and it really made me understand that the sky's the limit, and whatever you set your mind to, you do. Doesn't matter, your gender, your color, nothing matters. If you set your mind to it, you can do it.
Well,
I'm from Israel. Never gets too much of a clap. I came to America, the land of the free-ish, about 3 years ago because I wanted to find myself through comedy. Because the acid didn't work.
No, but I mean, it's no, that's really cool though that you got that all this happened, that you took everything from your experience in the army, in the Israeli army, and decided that this is something that you needed in order to make you grow. But the question remains: how did you go from the army, from something so serious, even though you really probably you were like kind of chill about it, to comedy?
Oh my God. Well, first of all, I didn't go from the army straight to comedy. I went to the army. I built a whole career in online gaming.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that for a few years. It was going really well. Had the best time. Love games, love working in that field. But then one day I kind of thought to myself, so what is it? What is it about? Like what? So I'm just going to go to the work at 9 and come at 5 and build all the, like, I was curious. I wanted to learn more, maybe I was at that age, or actually it could be any age where sometimes, life grabs you and you have questions, I've done everything by the book, but I was still unsatisfied.
Well, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, I know. So I decided to go on this quest to find myself, and I decided to do it through comedy. And yeah, it's actually a wild story. Well, the truth is that I fell into depression. I was depressed, and I didn't know how to snap out, and I didn't even know why it's happening to me, because I said I did everything by the book. I went to college. I'm doing great. I have this amazing boyfriend. Everything is great. I have friends. What is going on? And then I got this idea suddenly that if I want to snap out of it, I gotta change it up. I gotta like shake my soul somehow. I gotta like do something random and new and something I've never done before. Maybe that scares me a little bit. And then I thought, you know what? I always thought stand-up comedy is crazy. Like, it's scary. It might be scary. It's like you have to be so brave to do it, but it looks so fun. I don't know. And in the beginning, there was this, I have Jewish voices in my head. They always tell me that whatever I think is a bad idea. It was like, what are you talking about, stand-up comedy? It was like the worst idea I've ever fucking heard. So I was like, Mom, shut up. I don't know how he's in my head.
Nice.
But after like a week that I marinated with it, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. But if I'm going to do it, I'm going to give myself a stir. I'm going to do it like the movies. I'm going to do it in LA. I'm going to do it in New York. And initially, I didn't come here to be a stand-up comedian, like develop a career. I wanted to take a class, like a writing class, or like join some sort of a writing group, and then do a couple shows and then come back. Kind of like a journey, people go to India for self-revelation.
Like a little sabbatical.
Exactly. So this was like 2 or 3 months sabbatical, but I decided that I'm going to do it. And I came here, and I went to went to the writing class. I started writing the material, and in the beginning, everything I wrote was so dark to Americans because from Israel. I remember we were at the writing class, and all the the comics are just like they present what they wrote, and like, isn't it, what's weird about this, or what's funny about coffee or weather or things that are from life, that's funny, relationships, stuff like that. I was like, what's weird about rockets? And
like, there aren't really that many rockets around here.
And I remember the guy was like, "Oh, listen, you have to." So I kept, but then it took me a while, and I'm still kind of like on the journey. That I have a lot of jokes. I have a lot of material. I laugh about myself. I laugh about being an immigrant in America, but I'm still in the challenge of bringing a lot of like stuff about Israel that are a little bit dark. I need to make them funny. So I'm still working on that because I want people to know how amazing Israel is and how much Israelis like to laugh and how much culture there's in Israel.
Well, it's the mother country. For a lot of us, it's the mother country for all of us, pretty much.
Yes. So that's it. I did the showcase, and I remember when they were calling my name for the first time, I was like, hey, everybody, put your hands together for Or Mash. When they said my name for the first time, I was like, why did you do this to yourself? I felt like I was going to jump off a cliff. Why? Why would you do this?
Because I got a boyfriend. Not only is he a boyfriend, he is also American. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Guys, this is how I knew he was the one, right? First date, he comes to pick me up, Mercedes convertible, top down, right? I get in the car, he looks over to me and goes, hey, do you want a muscle relaxer? Like, is this an LA thing? Like, is this what people do in LA? Like, in Israel, we don't have muscle relaxer. In Israel, if you want to relax, you just leave.
Oh man.
And yeah. So now I've done this stand-up comedy, and after the one show I said, you know what, if this one makes you happy, then just go for it. Do it until it doesn't. And I signed up for a UCLA writers class, and it's fun. It's so fun. I still can't believe it's my life. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, I saw one of your YouTube stand-up comedies, and I was cracking up. I'm telling you, like I was just, watching about how you were talking about racism and how you got to be careful. Like sometimes you can, you're not trying to be racist, but you still sound racist anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm just like watching. I'm like, oh my God, that is freaking true. It's so true.
Yeah.
Talking about the your Asian friend and her big vagina. That was
my
interesting.
God, my Asian friend. Why was that a true story?
Well, that's what makes it funny, is that it's all true story. Like a lot of the things, because I've noticed that about a lot of comedians, that when they go up, they do stand up, they're deriving it from what actually happens in their real life. Gabriel Iglesias, he does that. He does a lot of stand-up comedy that's basically derived off of his real life experiences.
Yeah.
So it's awesome to see that. It's awesome to listen to comedians do that, because I'm like, sometimes it's unbelievable. You're like, no way, this cannot be happening in this person's life, and it actually it does happen. So that's really cool that you derive it out of your own personal experiences.
And that's, in the end of the day, that one makes, I think, audience laugh, because they go, oh my God, that happened to me, or oh my, I felt like that once.
They can relate.
They can relate. I don't think I do that joke anymore. That tape was actually from my first show ever that I did, the one I told you about.
You were cracking me up. I was, and I could hear the audience laughing so much. I was laughing along with them. I was like, oh my God, she is freaking funny. Like she's hilarious. But that's really cool that you've gotten to do this, what you love. But aside from that, I know that you also had a show called Mashed.
I did.
How was that? How was that experience? How did obviously a lot of stand-up comics they go from stand-up comedy to getting their own like sitcoms, their own shows and stuff like that. How did that all come about?
Well, MASH happened actually in such a random. I was at UCLA writers class, and we had to submit our scripts every week, like 5 pages. And I submitted every week, and the class was laughing, and the instructor was laughing. And till one day, I submitted a script for a show called MASH that it was based on me, and I got the script back, and it says I want to direct this, and it was from the instructor. Later, I found out that he directed Sex and the City.
Matthew Harrison,
yeah, directed Sex and the City, and I was like, you know what? If the director of Sex and the City wanted to direct my script, I was so honored, so excited that I was like, you know what? We're gonna do it. And that was the first show we did, which we're still doing. We're still writing or releasing the first season. Right now, I'm actually working on a show called Needs. That I've developed with my baby sister Ophir and the director Natalia Montecito, which is an award-winning director. Me and my baby sisters are living here, and the show is really trying to take all kinds of psychological theories and what do people need to be happy and all those stuff, and really translates it to millennials and why it's not true and why all those psychological theories and all these like hierarchies of needs and stuff like that don't really apply to our generation, the young generation, and why. And it's so fresh and it's so hilarious, and I'm so excited. We're working on it right now. We're offering in that show, we're doing it through sketch comedy, through song, through all these like fake commercials, which are hilarious. And I'm so excited about it. It's really fun to also work with my baby sisters. Like, I feel like when I'll be a grandma one day, I'm like, look what you're,
Well, that's
and
cool.
Yeah.
Yes, Mom. Yeah, I just put my earphones on. I was happy. But then I lost it.
Okay, that was connected.
I lost my left AirPod. It's gone. I went to get help. I was there, but nobody would listen to me. $159.
Streaming network, or is it going to be on actual network TV?
Well, we first want to offer it and kind of build our audience, and just offer them the content and build an audience, and just have people see what we do, because we have so much to say, and so many funny things that we're shooting, that we just kind of want to just offer it to the world.
That's awesome.
And hope people will get our vibe and fall in love and follow.
That's the important part. Follow.
Sometimes I feel like sometimes you when you give people, you don't ask for anything, and you're just like, hey, this is what I think, this is why I feel, and you make them laugh, and it's good enough. If it's good, they'll like it, and they'll want to see more.
I agree completely. And with that, I mean, you have these projects going on. But aside from these projects, have you done other type of acting? I mean, obviously you're obviously still doing stand-up comedy. I'm
doing stand-up comedy. Performing almost sometimes 4 or 5 times a week. I have.
Is that the Comedy Store or various places?
Comedy Store, the Laugh Factory, Levity Live, all the Haha Cafe, all the Flappers, all of that. I just make fun of me, and I make fun of Americans, and we just have a good night together.
We are a funny bunch. We are a very funny bunch.
But obviously, I do that while making fun of myself too, and.
I mean, well, because if you can't make fun of yourself, there's just no point to it, right?
Exactly.
You have to do it. You have to do it.
I have to do it, and you know what? It's so fun. I feel like I feel like this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like I just wanna fuck around with people on stage all the time. And I had a show once, and this couple, their house was affected from the fires at the time, and they came to me after the show, and they were like, "Oh, I just want to tell you, they told me what happened, but they said for the time that you were on stage, that ISIS joke you did murdered us. We were laughing so hard. It really made us forget about everything that was going on for like 10 minutes." And I was like, "Thank you."
And that's the point sometimes. That's the point. Sometimes like comedy always, I mean, it's the best healing medicine for a lot of things. I mean, it's scientifically, they've said that, laughter heals people. Like a lot of laughter tends to heal people. That's the reason why, a lot of comedians, a lot of people that are in comedy, they go to the children's hospitals to try to give them a little bit of hope, a little bit of laughter in a very dark time of their lives, and that just goes for a lot of things. I mean, it happens to many people, like you just said, people that have been affected by, fires or by any type of natural disaster. Getting away from the negative, getting away from the darkness, and going somewhere where you could just laugh and just forget for a few minutes what's been going on, the crap that you're going through in your life, and having someone like you give them that pleasure for just a few minutes to just laugh and just have fun and be good. That's a huge thing. That's an amazing gift that you are giving, society. You're providing a great public service to many people that need it.
Oh my God, thank you. I feel like you just made my day even better.
Well, it's the truth. So when you got into comedy, was there any comedians or inspirations that also affected your decision to get into comedy?
Or
was it just like, what? Let me just go ahead and make people laugh.
I'll tell you what, it's not even when I got into comedy. It's actually when I was a child. I remember I was like 6, I think it was, or 4, 6, something like that. I was very small. It was a Gulf War happening where the United States and Iraq or Iran was fighting, and
the Gulf War of the 90s.
Yeah. They were sending rockets to Israel too. And I remember I was with my family in the bomb shelter, and there was like a bomb shelter for the entire building. So it's us and the neighbors and the cousins, like everybody's is in this room right now that you can't get out of, which is the hardest part. It's not even the bombs. It's your neighbor, Ari. Hey. And all the neighbors are fighting. And I remember my dad was trying to put the antenna on the TV, how they do it old school, where try to get anything, and he did it, and all of a sudden a comedian popped on the screen, and I don't remember what he was talking about. He was, he was doing his set on late night set, and all of a sudden everybody started laughing, from like fighting and being upset and being scared and being they were Israelis. We're never scared, but we were
nice.
From just a bunch of people locked up in a bomb shelter, and just like it sucks. Now it's a bunch of people still locked up in the bomb shelter, but now everybody's laughing.
That's good.
So that was the first time that I saw like the power and magic of comedy, that it could literally take any situation, as shitty as it is, and make it a little better. And I was like, oh my God, I want to do this.
That's really cool. What are your plans for Thanksgiving, seeing as it's coming up?
Oh my God, I don't know. First of all, I'm Jewish. I don't even know if they... I think I'm gonna do a Friendsgiving. We're a bunch of people here in LA that have to stay because they have shows and stuff like that, and so we're just gonna cook and have a good time.
Well, I mean, you got your sisters with you, you said. So
I got my sister. What are you doing with Thanksgiving?
Me, well, I mean, it's just me and my pops. You know, I'm just
Nice.
cooking a turkey for me and him and my little dog and my cat, and that's pretty much it, you know. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
nothing big planned, you know, just doing that and this and the Xander.
Amazing. Amazing.
So you got shows
Yeah.
coming up.
I got shows coming up. I'm working my ass off with Ophir on Needs. It's by me, Ophir, and Natalia Montecito. We are going to have a Christmas special, all these things, a song, all these things coming out. That's why we have to stay in town because we got to work. So we're probably going to do Thanksgiving together.
Beautiful.
I got a show tonight. I'm doing the Comedy Store every other Monday in the Belly Room. Brea Improv's coming up.
Awesome. Well, you know what? I look forward to going to one of your shows. I'd love to see you, you know, live. I'd love to see you're freaking hilarious. Just, you know, through this interview alone. I've seen your YouTube stuff. I'd look forward to seeing all your projects that come through. I'd love to do a follow-up once you got, you know, some of these projects you have going. I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about that in the next round of our interview. Or Mash, thank you so much for being on the Xander Effect.
Thank you so much. I love being on the Xander Effect.
I love having you here. So I hope to see you very soon.
Thank you. Have a great holidays. Happy holidays.
Likewise. Take care.
Okay, but before I tell you my name, I need to know that you're not from immigration.
Thanks, Ormash, for being on the Xander Effect. I hope to check out one of your shows. I would love to go ahead and see one of your shows in person. In sports, this week is week 12 in the NFL, and it's getting hot because there's already 4 teams on the chopping block that will not be making it to the playoffs, according to predictions. Obviously, the Cincinnati Bengals they're out. They're like 0-10 right now, and they're not doing too well. It doesn't seem like they're getting any better. The Bengals face the Steelers this Sunday. That's already a tough team as it is, let alone their 0-10 record is about to be 0-11. So they're completely out of the playoffs. Another team that it faces the chopping block is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're 3-7, but they face the Falcons, who are also 3-7. However, the Falcons are favored to win the game, but we don't know. I mean, the Falcons, they were known for an amazing defense, like pretty much a brick wall of defense. So it's going to be interesting for for Tampa Bay's offense to try to penetrate that. But with a 3-7 record, it's going to be a tough one to call on that one. So one of those two teams is going to fight to get to the playoffs this year. Another team that is on the chopping block is the New York Giants. That one's a no-brainer. They're 2-8 in the season, and they face the Bears coming up this Sunday, and the Bears, they have a record of 4-6 right now. So the Bears are actually doing their job on the field. Giants, not so much. Giants, it's been a tough year for them. They obviously lost their star quarterback. Well, they didn't lose him. The star quarterback got benched. I mean, Eli got benched. He just was not doing it. He's not obviously in the talent gene pool. Peyton got the talent. Eli didn't. And I'm sorry, but the coaches saw that. They benched him. They used the backup quarterback, and he hasn't been doing too well either. The Giants need to just look at this season as a loss and reevaluate everything coming this season in 2020. Another team that's set to be kicked out and not make it to the playoffs is the Washington Redskins. They are 1-9, so they are just above the Bengals right now, which isn't saying much. They face the Lions, who are 3-6-1. Now the Lions, they were known as, not the best team in that division, but the Redskins look like they might be able to actually boost their numbers a bit, seeing as they face them this weekend, and chances are Redskins, with that kind of with the way their offense and defense has been playing, many interceptions, many mistakes done on the field, it's highly unlikely that the Redskins are going to pull off a win against the Lions this Sunday. In other sports news, Floyd Money Mayweather is talking about coming back from retirement. Come on, man. I mean, it's like Hoist Gracie coming back. He retired undefeated in the UFC and MMA. He comes back to fight Matt Hughes and gets beaten, and there's a tarnish on his perfect win-loss record. He has one loss now thanks to that. Floyd, don't do it, man. Stay in your lane, stay retired, be happy with your 50-0 record. Just be happy with that. You don't want to tarnish it with one loss. Then again, there are many people that want to see you lose. So come back from retirement. Come on. Who knows what the boxer is thinking about doing in 2020, but he was seen talking with Dana White in the UFC. And they were talking, and he posted on Instagram that basically, on his Instagram post, he says, "At Dana White and I working together again to bring the world another spectacular event in 2020. Hashtag boxing, hashtag UFC, hashtag MMA, hashtag Mayweather Promotions." Now, do these hashtags necessarily indicate that maybe Floyd's going to MMA when he comes back from retirement in 2020? Or does it mean it's going to be another boxing versus MMA, disaster? Because to be honest with you, that fight that he had was a disaster. I mean, Mayweather versus McGregor, I watched it. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I mean, McGregor was trying to grapple with the guy, and it's like, dude, this is boxing, it's not grappling. And obviously Mayweather won because it's his genre. So if Dana White and Mayweather are talking about doing something awesome, then Mayweather needs to go to MMA and do that. Because Mayweather well knows, I have a feeling he knows that in MMA it's a completely different sport, and his chances may not be that good in MMA because it's not boxing, it's not just stand-up, it's grappling, it's wrestling, it's mixed martial arts, and it's different from just boxing. So Mayweather, if you're thinking about going into MMA, you better at least take another year or two to train hard, because CM Punk tried it. He didn't do too well in it, Granted, his background is just, professional wrestling and WWE and stuff like that, which is all, everything in wrestling is all pre-choreographed and everything. It's not, I hate to say it, it's sports entertainment. It's not real, but MMA is. And Brock Lesnar is the only person who was able to transition. Why? Because Brock Lesnar was an NCAA champion wrestler. He was already wrestling for real in college, so he already knew how to wrestle. That already came second nature to him. Mayweather, you've been focused on boxing all your life. Stay retired, man. Or if you come back to another boxing match, but don't go into MMA. I'm telling you this right now, man, because if you do, it's probably not going to end well. But then at the same time, there are many people that want to see if it'll happen. Who knows? We'll find out in 2020. In video game news, Half-Life. One of my favorite games when I was in high school is making a comeback, but it's making a comeback in virtual reality. Half-Life 3 to come out in all VR headsets on the market in March of 2020, and it's available for pre-order for $59.99. Basically, Half-Life 3 is in between, it takes place in between Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2. So it's somewhere in between, where Alex Vance and her father basically go up against the Combine. They fight against the Combine. And this game, when I first played it, it was amazing because it was on the PC and the graphics were great. I mean, obviously times have changed since then, but the graphics were fantastic, and I enjoyed playing it. Never got to play Half-Life 2 though, but in VR, I mean, man, virtual reality, you put the headset on and you're actually in the lab, you're in the caves, you're fighting against these different creatures, aliens, all these types of different mutants and stuff like that. This game would probably be really cool to watch in virtual reality. Then again, it'll probably be kind of crazy. It'll probably make you dizzy with all the ups and downs, twists and turns that this game has. So VR owners, virtual reality owners, have fun with it. You guys will enjoy it. I guarantee it, because I love playing the first one. That's it for the Xander Effect. I'd like to thank all my guests for being on the show today. And I'd like to wish all of you a very, very happy Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is next Thursday. So you guys all enjoy your Thanksgiving with your loved ones. Or if you can't be with your loved ones, have a happy Friendsgiving as well. We'll see you next time.
I'll never love, 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 I'll never love,
Hey guys, thanks a lot for watching this episode of the Xander Effect. Now, if you like this video or any of my other videos, here's a couple right here. See? They're right here. They're right here. Go ahead and click on those to view some of my past videos, and make sure to subscribe because it's awesome. See you next time on the Xander Effect. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram.